Vinay, you are communicating Telugu also very nicely.
Chairperson of the branch in absentia, CAG Bharati Devi. Learned speaker of today's technical session on RERA, the role of chartered accountants and opportunities to CS. CA Vinay, Thyagaraj. Respected senior members of the profession, my dear managing committee, colleague professional members, a very good evening to you all. The topic chosen for today is RERA, which is becoming prominent by day across the country and also in the state of Andhra Pradesh. We are fortunate to have an eminent speaker, a well versed with this act. In this line of activity, he has very much knowledgeable CA Vinay Thyagaraj Garu. I welcome you all to this technical session. Hope all of your doubts, queries, everything will be clarified with this session. And I request the Treasurer Prashant to introduce the speaker of today's session.
Good evening to all. Respected speaker, management committee members, seniors, past chairmen, good evening to all. CA Vinay Thyagaraj is a chartered accountant and law graduate, founder partner of Messrs. Venu and Vinay, chartered accountants, has over 20 years of experience in the business consulting, structuring, and taxation. Business, taxation, technical papers, and participated at various symposium forums. Regular speaker at various regional TV channels on financial matters, budgets, and etc. He has been working on the Real Estate, that is Regulation and Development Act 2016 since its inception of the with a view to understand the financial business impact of the act on the organization and industry, helping promoters to implement the best practices under the RERA. He traveled across the South Indian states to deliberate and discuss present technical papers on RERA. He presented more than 150 technical sessions on RERA industry associations, professional home buyers associations, law universities, and for public at large. He served as a technical committees of SIRC of ICAI, presently part of Governing Council of National Real Estate Development Council, Karnataka. Is a part of Taxation, License Funds and Project Finance Committee. He is also financial consultant at RERA Consultants LLP. He lives in Bangalore with a wife, Mrs. Shirisha, and two sons, Sai Anirudh and Vivek Anurag. With these few lines, I'm happy to introduce CA Vinay Thyagaraj to the August gathering. Thank you very much. Sir, floor is open for you. Please proceed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prashant Garu, for nice introduction. Thank you, Murli Krishna Garu, for welcoming. And big thanks to Visakhapatnam ICAI of SIRC of ICAI for inviting me to have a session on RERA. And the session flow go like this. We'll look at the important and critical aspects of RERA and at the time of registration, and also let's touch upon a few important aspects of AP rules and the roles of professionals as a chartered accountant. After registration, what is there for professionals as well as the project as well as the industry is about quarterly updates and also the annual audits and monitoring system. And other aspects of real estate under RERA also would be looked into this session. And finally, like as a professionals, as a chartered accountant, few of the things we must know to service our client, to advise our clients. I'll touch upon those things also during the 2 hours of session. Having said, always I say that RERA is not an act. It is, I say that it's a way of doing the real estate business. Why I say these slides, I'll explain you in the subsequent presentation. Let's look into that. And of course, rather me getting into the direct on the registration part, I'll touch upon few of the background about it, objectives of it, and what is the present status in RERA of in AP, and also especially what is happening in Vizag, especially on the RERA part of it, how many projects are there and how it has been spread across. I'll touch upon in the interest of the members. I'm sure that many of you would be addressing many of the clients in the real estate and also have done good work on the RERA part also. As you know that like this industry contributes second largest manpower, skill, unskilled labors into the industry. This industry contributes second largest GDP to the government. This industry generates at least 6 to 7% of taxes to the country's GDP directly or indirectly. In spite of that, it is unfortunate that we didn't had a regulator to monitor this industry. Till now, the real estate is not having a status of an industry. The associations, the real estate bodies are fighting with the government to get a status of a industry in the eyes of the government. However, government is also replying, stating that there are various criteria to satisfy to say that this is an industry. So looking at that, one of the step towards shaping this business or this industry as an industry in the eyes of the government, this is the one movement like RERA. And the RERA, even though it has notified in the year 2017, however, the journey of the RERA started in 2009. The real estate bill started in the parliament in 2009, and it has become a reality in 2016 by notifying the act and effective from 2017. So if you see the objectives of the act, one is the accountability. As we all know that this is a one of the thing which any industry or any business require. This was the industry and the business was lacking in it. Transparency, we know what do you mean by transparency in the real estate industry. The professionalism, what I mean by professionalism, like anybody can have enter into the industry or do the business of real estate, there is no specific requirement, basic requirement to have the to start the business. Symmetry of the information was missing. Like we know that like government is having one information, builder is having one information, banker is having one information, professionals we are having one information, the home buyer is having another information. To get the symmetry of information, this is one of the important statute which government has brought in. Next is fixing the responsibility on both the allottees and the promoter is also the one of the intention. And also the speedy dispute mechanism. Like if you see, this being the specific industry relating to the real estate, it has taken the shape that within 60 days you have to dispose the complaint and before the adjudicating officer or the tribunal. That is a good part of it, rather to get into a consumer protection or the civil code, which takes years to get the justice or the order from the respective courts or the forums. So this is the major objective of the act. And even though the act is about 3 years old, and we have seen and experienced that these are all the intention of the act has been proactively, it has been implemented by the state, and also many stakeholders are also insisting, like the banks insisting to have a RERA registration, home buyers insisting that unless RERA is there we will not buy it. So various aspects has made this statute as mandatory. As Murli Krishna Garu has mentioned in the initial, this is the one of the area of a practice for the members also, because irrespective of anything, this industry will survive, industry will continue, industry will bloom always. So having said, as the professions we should know this about the statute for the purpose of advising the clients. uh, Prashant garu, hope my voice is audible. Can somebody
Yes,
confirm
sir.
to
Yes,
me?
sir. Very much. Yeah, very much clear.
Okay. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Because everybody has switched off your cameras, only I'm there. Okay. So I don't know what's happening. Okay. Is it audible, not audible, and is it okay or not okay? And if, because this being the technology, many a time like we'll disconnect. So if any of that's a problem, please let me know. Okay. Yeah. Because mobile is also not with me. If somebody trying to call me and reach also, so you can call on the mobile, but my staff will attend and they will let me know. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, sir. So as I mentioned, the land related laws are the jurisdiction of the state. So anything relating to the land laws are of always the state has the highest power to take a decision. But why this act has made it a central? So center also does not have many things or more things to start talk about the land related laws of the state. So what they have come out is, this is an act to regulate the business, not regulating the laws of the land or relating to the land laws. So what they have done is, we will give a act to regulate the business, nothing to do with the land laws. So within this purview of an act, you come out with drafted rules which in suit or which in line with the state policies or procedures in terms of the land laws. However, those things shall be within the ambit of the act. We all as a professional know that act rules cannot override the act. So accordingly, the AP has come out with the rules, like every state has come out with the rules, and it's called Andhra Pradesh Real Estate Regulation Development Rules 2017, and which is effective from 1/5/2017. And by virtue of the rules has given a power to the state government to appoint the chairman. In term, having appointed a chairman or the authority has a power to frame the regulation. Those regulation has been approved by the government of the Andhra Pradesh. So that is what is the background about the background and the structure of the act and the rules and the regulation. So this being the state authority, and it is called Andhra Pradesh Real Estate Regulatory Authority, which is situated in Vijayawada at this point of time. And this is the address of the authority office. Even though authority is there in Vijayawada, but as a process, as a compliance, everything is online. And one of the intention of this act, when they have come out with that, and also central government also made a mandate stating that as much as possible, please do follow the online procedure, so that entirely one can eliminate the physical contact, and also maintenance of the physical documents of it. Accordingly, most of the states have implemented throughout throughout as the online module. There is no physical documentation involved under this statute. That's a good part of it. From the day one, when you are online, when you are contactless, we can expect a speedy process, as well as the transparent way. So accordingly, Andhra Pradesh has been notified the rules on March 27, 2017. As I mentioned, it is called Andhra Pradesh Real Estate Regulation and Development Rules. And this is the cover page, or the home page of the AP RERA. So let us look at what is happened in RERA, what is happening in RERA in Andhra Pradesh. Of course, it was Telangana and AP put together was a good number, and only AP is, this is the number, this is the data as on yesterday. So Andhra Pradesh totally have about 1,888 application for registration of the projects, of which about 1,214 is approved, about 224 is under process, and about 450 projects have been sent back to the promoter for the purpose of correction or the shortfall notices. And also the agents also 120 applications received and 111 approvals are done, and also a complaint. So I'll just, in the for the benefit of the members, I'll try to explain. Under RERA, what is mandated to register is a project. Project shall be registered under RERA. A agent shall be registered under RERA. It is not the promoter. It is not the company. It is not the entity. It is the real estate project require a registration under RERA. That project may be held by a company, may be a proprietor firm, may be a partnership firm, or LLP. However, what is required to register is a project. If a company is having 20 projects, so each project require a separate registration with the RERA. However, the entity may be the same, but registration requirement would be different for each project. That is what is the mandate about it. Second, also an agent. Who is an agent is also defined under the Act. So what is required to be registered under RERA is a project and an agent. There is no other requirement, no other registration required under RERA. So as a professional, we should be aware that I'm registering a company under RERA. No, it is the project to be registered. In case if you're acting as an agent, one should register it. As I mentioned, one of the objective of the act is speedy dispute resolution mechanism. In turn, there would be adjudication mechanism and also a tribunal also present in this. So accordingly, the home buyer, the buyer is popularly known as allottees. Throughout the act, there is no mention about the consumer, there is no mention about the home buyer, there no mention about the customer. Throughout the act, it has a mention about allottee. Allottee is who is person who is having allotted a unit in the real estate project. He's called a allottee. The definition is also clearly mentioned who is an allottee. Second, there is no mention about the promoter. There is no mention about a builder, landowner, contractor. Everything is defined in the act as the promoter. The definition of section 2 is clear on who is a promoter. Promoter includes everybody, the developer, the contractor, the landowner, and also the in terms of the colonizer, or who is holding a GPA, and in turn who is developing the project. Section 2ZK of the Act has a clear definition of the promoter. So one more question generally we have it is, sir, is landowner is a promoter? Yes, landowner is also called a promoter, because the definition of the promoter under 2ZK is very clear. Person who constructs or causes to be constructed an independent building, or a building consisting of an apartment or a development of land into the plots. That means to say a person who construct or causes to be constructed. Who is causing to be constructed? Landowner is a person who causes to be constructed. Hence, landowner is also called a promoter. So accordingly, all the laws which is applicable to the promoter, all the laws which is applicable to the builder is equally applicable to the landowner also. Hence, 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 it is very important for us to understand that landowner compulsorily to be part of the project throughout the project till the end completion of the project. Then let's look into what is there in the Vishakhapatnam. Vishakhapatnam region is divided into three zones: Srikakulam, Vishakhapatnam, and Vijayanagaram. So out of 1,888 applications received, 778 applications are related to this region. That means to say almost 40% of the application from these three districts and also a region. So that is the potential of this area or this locality or this region. So of which if you see that Vishakhapatnam gets 584, and also I'm sure that Vijayanagaram is also next to the district of Vishakhapatnam. So in totality, like 40% of the project which is there in this region itself. So having said, there is a good potential for as a professionals, as a members to pursue this to in terms of advising the clients. So on the right side of this presentation, there is a table called forwarded to joint director, member, promoter, technical committee, verification time. So in terms of the process of the application, the moment we submit the application, it goes through various checks and balances before the authority, and of which what would be verified, I'll explain you in the subsequent slide. This is the stages which is involved. Finally, once a joint director approves it, then it will go to the chairman of the RERA authority will approve the project as registered. So the moment you log into the AP RERA website, this is the template, or this is a poster. We observe this, and which is very clear that without RERA, please do not do the real estate business. Without RERA registration, please do not buy the project or the apartment or a plotted. So please ensure that RERA registration is a must for the purpose of buyer also, for a purpose of seller also. So having said this as a background, let me tell you, and is this project is applicable to all the projects? You may have a doubt that, sir, you have said that it is applicable to real estate projects. Which are the project which is applicable? The projects which is having more than 500 square meters of the land area. The land area shall be more than 500 square meters, or number of units in the project shall be more than 8 units. That means 9 units. So in case of a project having more than 500 square meters or more than 8 units, that real estate project require a registration with RERA, and that RERA application shall be filed online. So if so, sir, should I require to register all the projects? Answer is no. The project which has not received the completion certificate as on the date of act, commencement of the act. That means the act has commenced from 1/5/2017. As on 1/5/2017, if I do not have the completion certificate from the respective planning authority, then only those projects require a registration under RERA. That means there is an ongoing project, the project which has received the approval or a sanction prior to the 1/5/2017. However, on 1/5/2017, those projects are not completed and not received the completion certificate. Only those projects require a registration from the RERA authority. And third and fourth, in terms of repair and redevelopment, mostly applicable to the Maharashtra at this point of time. So what I have told you is about the provisions of the Act. As per the Act, what is the applicability of the registration? Subsequently, even though as we know that rule should not override, or rule should not give a effect which is travel beyond the Act. However, states have given a power to define the ongoing project by virtue of the act. So accordingly, the applicability of the registration in the AP, they mention that all the projects require a registration except the following: the project for which occupancy certificate or the completion certificate not been issued on the uh, on the date of notification, and in case if the project have not been received the occupancy certificate, however any of these conditions are satisfied, then still the project is exempt from registration. What it talks about: in case of a plotted development where your road, open spaces, amenities are handed over to the local authority. Okay, we know that in case of a plotted development where the roads and open spaces, amenities shall be handed over to the local authority, if that happened as an notification of the AP rules, then it need not to register for the RERA. In case of a apartment or in case of a building project where all the slabs are laid in a housing project as on date of notification of the rules, that project also need not to register. How do we prove that where all the slabs are laid as a notification date? It has to be proved with the technical. It shall be certified by an engineer, and also your books of accounts shall also substantiate about it. We have a couple of cases where the promoter said that I have casted all the slabs in a real estate project as a notification, date of notification of RERA, AP RERA. However, buyers have proved that no, he has not constructed as on that date, where authority has issued a notice to prove it. Why also issued a show cause notice, why penalty shall not be levied under section 3 for non-registration of the project under the RERA for not satisfying the rules. Ultimately, it has been found out that he was not laid the slabs as on date of AP notification of AP rules, for the simple reason that the input tax credit which is available in his books of accounts says that he has purchased cement, he has purchased some of the concrete post date which he has promised that the slabs are casted. So that is what is important for us to say some of the clients that how it is exempted from RERA. Of course, it's almost about 3.5 years now. That may not be relevant. I wish that most of the applicable projects in AP RERA has registered already with the AP RERA. If not, you recommend the promoters to register the projects with AP RERA. And also for your information, many states have taken very aggressive steps without without RERA registration. The projects, apartments or the plots are not allowed to register with the sub-register. However, few states like southern state are not so aggressive to take that bold decision for the various reasons of political motive or the revenue to the government. Okay, because if that is the reason, then it becomes difficult for the government in terms of generating more revenue also. Okay, so these are the exception to the registration requirement. These are AP rules which has mentioned in terms of defining the ongoing project. And if you log into the website, there are various notifications which is mentioned. I'll just go through, skip this notification. You can look into that as part of your, as in the website. And also these are all the AP authority has given a circular notification as recent as notification about imposing a penalty for not registering the project. So this is about the background about the act and also AP rules. As I mentioned initially, as a professional, I'm sure that many of our clients would approach us for the purpose of registration of their real estate project. In my experience about in last 3.5 years, compared to any other professional, chartered accountant are better and preferred for the purpose of RERA registration, for the simple reason that many informations would be available related to the client with us on a continuous basis, at least his KYC, his financial statements, its cash flow statements, and what would be required apart from that is about the project related information. So those information, if we able to collect and vet reasonably, okay, I'm not expecting the expert in the fields of verification of other than the information related to the financial and aspects of it, but however we should take the reasonable steps, reasonable care in terms of verification of the other information which is part of the registration, for the simple reason that these are all the basic information and mandatory information which is required for the purpose of authority, for the purpose of grant of registration, and also registration of the real estate project. And many of this information is available publicly and which can be accessible publicly to the home buyers or any stakeholders for that matter. As recent as information is, many of the tax authorities like GST, VAT authorities, and also income tax authorities are taking the information from the RERA portals and comparing what is the movement of construction, what is the funds they are collected from the customers, and who issued the CA certificate from them. So those information would be available in the website on a quarterly basis, or maybe those authorities can approach the RERA authorities to provide the information under as their uh, uh, as part of their duties. So considering that as a professional, we should able to understand number one and appreciate the intention and the objective requirement of the act before we advise to the clients. So as I mentioned, the entire project registration require a quite substantiative information. I can say that the information required for a RERA registration is beyond availing any loan from the banker, because bank will stop at one point of time in terms of the information. However, RERA goes beyond what is required for them to approve it. As I mentioned that once you provide the information and details as per RERA to the authorities, and you can ensure that you can confidently tell your customers or the buyers, go and check in the RERA website itself, all the documents are available. And for your reference, if you want any information for your future purpose, even you can access from the RERA website rather than in your own computers and folders. To that extent, the information would be required. Having said, those information require the integrity, those information shall have accuracy before we submit to the authority. So start with promoter details. As I mentioned, promoter details, the definition of promoter is defined in section 2ZK, and promoter may be an individual, maybe a proprietor, maybe a HUF, maybe a LLP, partnership, private limited company, society, or any other association. So depending on the promoter details, one can fill the information and their KYC details. Those promoter KYC details, which is nothing but the PAN number and also the registration documents in case of a company, memorandum, article, and company incorporation certificate, GST details. And apart from that, who are all the respective board of directors and their details, their KYC details. In case of a partnership details and the partner details. And the document shall be self-attested before submitting before the application to the authority. Next is about, also apart from that promoter details, one has to give the information of the past 3 years financials. Past 3 year financial include balance sheet, P&L account, and cash flow statement, income tax return, and the director report in case of a companies. So this information is part of our rule, section 4 of the act. Section 4 of the act and the AP rules also mandates these informations are mandatory for one to get a RERA registration for the purpose for a RERA registration. And as a professional, please ensure that what information we provide is of the genuine information. Don't to tamper the information, because this information would be available in the website of the authority, and anybody can go on access to it. Next, about the project details, present project details as well as the past project which are handled by the promoter also required to be furnished or provided to the authorities. Project details, starting from the basic information about the project, its locality, longitude, latitude, what is this project, whether it's apartment, plotted, villa, villament, commercial, mixed development, or any other type of industrial, any other development that has to be provided in detail about it. And for us to verify it, project details, this project details comes with various associated information about the sanction plan and various no objection certificate from various authorities, maybe electricity agencies, maybe a fire agencies, maybe a pollution control board, forest department in Vizag. You may require that from the airport authority, you may require from the port trust of Vizag. So you need the various NOCs for somebody to build a project. Accordingly, those shall be provided along with the registration. And as a professionals, we should also understand what is applicable to which project, so that it would be easy for us to advise to our clients also. And when we verify these documents, ensure that the document which are related or pertaining to the particular project, and also information provided in those of the documents are matching with other relevant documents. Simple example, it may be an error or it may be intentional. Our legal documents, that means the title deeds talks about 1 acre, 1.5 acre, but with the moment we come to the sanction plan, it says something different than 1.5 acre. Then that point of time itself, we should able to flag it, say that there is a difference in the area of the project compared to the title deeds you are holding or the joint development you are holding compared to the plan sanction. And if you're able to identify that at that point itself, it would be better, so that the registration process will go faster. Or in case if you could not identify it, we may get a letter from the authority stating to reconcile it. Even the authority failed to notice at that point of time, tomorrow buyers may come back and say that there are differences between this and that. And also we should provide the details about professionals who are all part of the project. Who are all the professionals part of the project is the architect, project architect, and also project engineer, structural engineer, and also a chartered accountant who is undertaken to issue the professional certificates under RERA. So those professional details we require to provide it. Please ensure please ensure that as a chartered accountant, if I wish to associate with this project with the RERA, please provide the COP, copy of the COP. Otherwise, please do not provide it, because once you provide it, that becomes your obligation to service this client. And also, without your no objection certificate, no other professionals eligible to service it. Recently, Maharashtra RERA has issued a notice to the chartered accountants for the projects wherein home buyers were suffering because of it was not complete, because it was where the promoter was not reachable, promoter was absconded. They issued a letter to the professionals, including to a chartered accountant, stating that you are the project chartered accountant who are you whom you with who have taken undertaken to issue the certificates. Please provide the data related to the project, including what is the money collected, what happened having collected the money, and whatever be the details you are holding with you, please provide the data. So to that extent, professionals play a role under the act. And also development details, as I mentioned, development details in a project require to be provided, which may be including like in case of a basement, ground floor, upper floors, and also in case of amenities or facilities in the project which is provided. Those details has to be provided, including the various facilities of water supply, fire extinguishers. Every details of the project required to be provided. Then, as I mentioned, sanctions, which is nothing but the plan approval. Then the NOCs shall be provided to the authorities online. Legal drafts and documents. As I mentioned, one of the objective of the act is about standardization, professionalism. And if you see the sale agreement or a sale deed which are drafted or issued by promoter or the builders prior to RERA is maybe ranging from 1 page, 2 pages to 200 pages. It is depends on the ability of the professional or the ability of payment of fees of the professional. The drafts used to be drafted by the professionals. So many of the promoter used to take those drafts from the document writer, which may not be about 1 or 2 pages, or some of the advocates may be drafting about 200 pages of a similar in nature. So one of the objective of the act is about the standardization. So act itself has mandated the state to prescribe the agreement for sale format. Accordingly, AP RERA has notified the format. Every real estate project is mandated to follow the same format without any changes except to modify the details about the project only. And any modification of that agreement for sale is void ab initio if the conditions of those is modified or which is with an intention to abuse or misuse the powers. Okay, so to that extent, this act is clear that you have to follow the same draft which is notified by the authority. And AP RERA has one step ahead. Even they notified the sale deed also. This is something which is of a good thing. Even the sale deed is also standardized in the AP, and how the sale deed should be there, and what is the rights of the home buyers, what is the obligation of the promoter who is executing the sale deed. So these are all the draft which, as a professionals, I'm sure that many of us have experience of buying any property for ourselves. We also have gone through the process of understanding what is agreement, what is the content of agreement, sale deed, what is the content of sale deed. So these drafts also has to be looked into by the professionals, considering the various other laws which is also play a critical and crucial, like a GST, like income tax, or any other law which is associated where there is an impact on the taxation and financial matters. So considering that, so please go through this. The drafts are very well written and very well balanced between the home buyers and the promoter. Earlier draft, if you see, it is only a one-sided, where home buyers or the allottees did not had any option or except to agree to the clauses or terms and conditions of the builder. Now it's a complete U-turn. It's a very balanced. Both have equal right. Both have the rights under the agreement which protects both of them. Also various other affidavits undertaking, like a JD agreement. In case of a development agreement, land belongs to one person, developer is a different. So both are coming together and developing this project, and both has to agree on some of the terms of the agreement. So that also has to be signed and submitted to the authorities. Source of funds. So this is where our expertise also would be required, because as we know that this industry doesn't mandate any minimum requirement of a capital. So if you are very clever, if you are smart, landowner is having a land and somebody else is having a money in your circle, you know how to do the real estate business. You just can enter into, you can collect money from the other part and pay to the landowner, get into a JD, and you can continue with the business. So it doesn't require any money which is mandated as a minimum to kept in the bank account unless any other business mandates it. This industry doesn't mandate it. So source of funds has to be given to the authority. What is the source of fund for your project? So the moment you say source of fund, how much is the source of funds they're looking at? They say that you defined what is the estimated cost of the construction, estimated cost of the project. That means, say, on the day of application itself, as a promoter, as a builder, I should know what is the cost of the project. As we know that this industry works in a very different way, which doesn't consider, unless the builder is of a having a discipline setup and having a setup of calculating, following all the procedures. Like they say that 1 lakh 1 lakh square feet I'm constructing, sir. 1200 is a square feet costing. So total costing is about 12 crore rupees. Please put that. The moment you put 12 crore rupees, is that only a cost? But once the that means 12 crore rupees is a cost. Say it is a 50-50 sharing, and 12 crore rupees maybe say consider as a cost of the land. So total estimated cost would be 24 crore rupees. And if you are selling out of this, you can construct 100 apartments, say about 60 lakhs rupees. That means 60 crore rupees you are making, and 24 lakhs is your cost. 36 crores you are making profit. Is it so? The answer may be wrong. Answer may not be correct, because what you have quoted 1200 rupees is per square feet of construction. What happened to other expenses? It may be a management expenses. It may be administrative expenses. It may be a subsequent interest borrowing. If you have a borrowing, interest expenses, all those are all the project cost of the project itself. So as a professional, we should discuss with our client to understand what is the scheme of the project, how are you developing this project, what would be the what is span of development it takes, 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. If so, where is the source for it? Sir, as I mentioned, 24 crores is the project cost. 12 crore landowner is bringing in by way of land. I am bringing 12 crore rupees for the purpose of construction. From where are you bringing this 12 crore rupees for the purpose of construction? If you have own funds, put that as a own funds as a source of funds. Or if you intend to borrow, like instead of 12 crore rupees, I borrow 5 crore rupees, and that 5 crore rupees, like how do I repay it? I'm sure that the moment I intend to borrow, because banker will ask the projection, you capture the interest cost also, and that cost may be part of your estimated cost of the construction. Instead of 12 crore rupees, including the interest, my cost has become 16 crore rupees. This 5 crore rupees over 5 years of my repayment would cost about 4 crore rupees of interest. So instead of 12 crore rupees, this becomes 16 crore rupees. And also I have administrative services. 4 years is the time for me to complete the project. So each month I end up spending about 5 lakhs rupees as my administrative cost. Yearly 60 lakhs rupees into 4 years, 2.4 crores is my administrative cost. So these are all the cost one has to be remember while putting this estimated cost of the land and the construction. The simple reason is, if this estimate is not correct at the initial stage itself, there are indirect or direct impact on withdrawal of the money from the project, and also in terms of penalty which would be leviable by the authority in case of violation or non-compliance of the act. So this is very important. As a professional, we should advise the client. We have come across various promoters, builder, consultant, chartered accountants have done the big blunder, big mistake, which has not able to correct it, because authority takes its own time to correct this cost of construction, number one. Number two is in terms of they also ask for the detailed information for the reason for change of correction. One has to go through that pain of modification. So let us take initial at the initial stages itself about how do we address this issue. So I'll go through what is a list of documents, and also how to estimate, how to calculate the estimate cost of the land and the construction. Do we have any specific question? Should we take it now, or should I continue and take it at the end of the presentation? Prashant sir.
I request members, if anybody wants to ask any question at this stage, please.
Also, you can put it in a chat or a question and answer. I can reply while I can go through and reply and cover during my presentation itself.
Sir, we will continue, sir. At the end of the session, we will take up the questions.
Okay, thank you, Prashant Garu. Thank you. As I mentioned, what are the details documents required? If you see that this is the project and details which is required. Are you able to see the screen? PDF కనపడుతుందా?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible.
PDF, right?
PDF is very small, sir. Very small.
Oh, okay. Then I'll take the Is it visible now?
Yes, sir. Now it is okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So if you see this is a list of the documents required, and I'm sure that in our professional life we haven't seen so much of documents except when we start buying a property. So this is the entire details and required for the authority for them to process the application for registration of one project. It goes about 55 or 50, yeah, exactly 50 number, 50 line item, 50 project, 50 documents should be required. Apart from the information from from this document has to be captured, and also a reference of which section, and also a rule is also clearly mentioned on the right side. If you see this is the mandatory, this is a requirement under respect to AP rule for somebody to claim, because sir, why should I give this information, which is part of the rule. So which is clearly mentioned what is the rule which mandates for the purpose of these documents. So next important aspect is a carpet area. Can you see a diagram here? The carpet area, because one of the objective of the act is a standardization. So what do you mean by standardization? If I buy a two-wheeler Hero Honda Splendor at Vishakhapatnam, that will have a same feature. If I buy it Karnataka, that will also have a same feature. If I buy it at Hyderabad, that will also have a same feature. That is a standardization. Was that industry follow the standardization? The answer is big no. So each of us were following our own standards, whether it may be for a quality, whether it may be a pricing, whether it may be advertisement, whether it may be a documentation. At least this act, this statute has started looking at where all I can do a standardization, where the home buyers or all the stakeholders need not to be a home buyers, all the stakeholders will have a reasonable and assured that the information which are given by the promoter or given by the industry or the business, having a comparison. I'm buying a two-bedroom house, and with the 5,000 rupees as a per square feet, and a two-bedroom house 1,000 square feet is a super built up area. Generally we call it as a saleable area or a super built up area. And if you ask somebody what is the definition of a super built up area, there is no definition for a super built up area in any of the architect standard, any of the engineer standard. What at max one can find is the built up area definition. Built up area is also defined in under various building bylaws. Also all your sanction plan also has a mention about the built up area. But however, if you refer us at what we pay it for a apartment construction is a super built up area or a saleable area. If you see super built up area and a built up area say 900 square feet, but that is what would be mentioned in the sanction plan issued by the planning authority, maybe a UDA or any other planning authority. But the customer, but the builder would be selling, instead of 900, he will be selling 1,000 square feet. That means say is collecting on 1,000 square feet at 5,000 rupees, which is a 50 lakh rupees. Where built up area is mentioned about for only 900, it's supposed to be 45 lakhs. He says, sir, that is a built up area, sir. What you are paying it for a super built up area, and no one can verify where is a super built up area. So that is what is a challenge in this industry. So considering that authority has made it clear that carpet area is the one thing which is uh, somebody has messaged me not visible. Is it not visible?
Now let's
That is
visit.
earlier, sir. That is earlier.
Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you,
after
thank
that
you.
it is
Yeah.
visible. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So carpet area, as I mentioned, now it is very clear that what the customer is entitled is the carpet area. That means the carpet area definition, which is clearly defined in the act, the internal portion of the apartment, internal portion of the project, the net usable floor area in an apartment, including the internal walls. If you see, this is the internal walls, and excluding the external walls, and excluding the balcony, excluding the shaft, and excluding the service area. That means to say, if I use my apartment and which is to be used by me alone, what is the area which I can use is only the internal portion, that is a carpet area. So please mention the carpet area as the standard, as the unit of measurement for every project, every builder. You may select 1000 or 1200, but mention the carpet area of that apartment. And if you see that the carpet area of the apartment is 600 square feet only, that means once I get into my house, what I see is only a 600 square feet of area for me to live. Where is another 400? The 400 may be a lift lobby, the 400 may be a parking, 400 may be a staircase, the 400 may be my terrace, or wherever may be. But as a customer, I am paying for 1000 square feet of 5000 rupees, which is 50 lakhs rupees, where I am privately or personally I can use only 600 square feet, versus somebody is selling at 6000 square feet per square feet, where he is giving 750 as a carpet area. So 750 is getting for a 60 lakhs rupees. Somebody is giving carpet area of 600 square feet for a 50 lakhs. So that will give a clear indication or a transparency to the home buyer whether should he buy it for higher price for a higher carpet area or a lower price for a lower carpet area. Earlier, both are the 2 bedroom houses, both are 1200 square feet or 1000 square feet. But what makes difference is a carpet area, not the super built up area. As we all know that the cost involved to construct the internal portion of the apartment versus common area like external portion always differ. So that is where is the important for as a professionals to understand while advising to the client also. As a part of the registration, one should give the carpet area statement. Like if you have 100 apartment in a project, all 100 apartment details has to be given separately. Apartment number A01 has a 1000 square feet of saleable or super built up area, 600 square feet is a carpet area, 200 square feet is an exclusive common area, and 200 is a common area. That means to say I have an exclusive balcony, exclusive shaft, exclusive service area that is purely for my own purposes. Others are not allowed to enter. Those are all called exclusive common area. Even though it is a exclusivity is given, but that is not the carpet area for the simple reason they're outside the carpet area of a apartment. That is, those are all part of external walls of the apartment. So this gives the fair idea for the home buyer to while buying their project apartment. Next, as I mentioned, the land cost. What should be the land cost? There are various doubts. At least I get at least about 3 to 4 calls from the professionals, especially from the chartered accountants, inquiring the land cost. So what should be the land cost for the purpose of project at the time of registration and also at the time of withdrawal of money from the project bank account? Because we issue a certificate, chartered accountant plays a very vital, very important role in terms of under RERA for the purpose of withdrawal of money from the designated project bank account. Without chartered accountant certificate, the promoter cannot, shall not withdraw the money from the respective project designated bank account. And if he don't withdraw the money, then he would be end up with paying the interest on his borrowing. So it's very important for the professional to know that which is what do you mean by land cost, what do you mean by construction cost, and how to calculate it. So this is the recent notification or recent clarification which is given by the AP authority by way of notification or a circular stating that this is what is the cost. This is how the land cost is calculated. In case of a land cost acquired or purchased, the latest purchase price. In case it is of an ancestor property, you can go to the sub-register record. We generally call it as SR value, guidance value, ASR value. Consider both, match both. Whichever is the higher, you can take that. That is how it has been calculated because that is what is permitted to withdraw from the project bank account. Apart from the land cost, if you have paid any money towards the development rate, you can consider that towards the land. If you have incurred any of the interest on acquisition of the land, so you can also include those interests. Consider you purchased the land 5 years back, by investing about 5 crore rupees, and also during last 5 years you have paid interest about another 2.5 crore rupees. So you can add 2.5 crore rupees as a part of the project cost, project land cost, for the purpose of calculating the estimated cost under RERA. And also any other duties and taxes, including the approvals from the authority, those things can be part of your land cost. Then come to the development cost, and development cost is purely cost towards the development of the project. One is the construction cost, and actual cost which is estimated cost towards administration, which I mentioned to you already, the salaries, consultation, and also the overhead cost of the project, which should be allocated or apportioned to the respective project. And any taxes or cess or fees which is payable against the project, it may be a property tax, it may be a local municipality cess, it may be any other payment towards the statutory authorities, can be part of your estimated cost. And final is the interest cost. As I mentioned, any money money borrowed for the purpose of construction, that can be added as the construction cost. So with this, the cost of development and the cost of development of project as well as the land cost together called estimated cost of the real estate project. So what is important is what we are registering is a project, not a promoter. I will reinstate that. I have also mentioned in my initial slides that I am registering a project. Project is having a land and the development, and it is not the development cost is only required to be mentioned in the application. It is very much clear that it is not permitted to register landowner separately and the builder separately, because what is required to be registered under the RERA is the project registration. Accordingly, collect the information from the landowner in case of a development project, in case you are a developer, in case under a joint development agreement. What is this cost? Only those costs required to be mentioned as part of application, and it is a responsibility of the builder to collect this information, mentioned as part of the cost of the project. If we don't mention this information properly, which will have a direct impact on withdrawal of the money from the project bank account. So many of us may be confused, sir, I am certifying the project of the promoter, that is a developer. Why should I certify the land cost? Please note that under RERA, there is nothing called developer or the landowner. It is a project. You have to certify related to the project. As a project, you have a land as well as a development. So hence, the required of a registration is always for a estimate for a both land and development. So don't ignore the cost of the land. I've seen that many of the professionals mentioned nil or only 1 rupee towards the land cost. That is not correct. Next, having prepared all this information, next what we should do is scan and keep all this information with the permissible, with the in a readable format. And for each file, I think they have given about 5 MB size. For few, it has given 30 MB or 50 MB also. Please scan and save all this information in a systematic manner. I told you, I shown you 50 documents would be required of for us to file an application. And also along with application, we have to pay the registration fees. The registration fees would be calculated based on the land area and the construction area. So this is the registration fee, which also required to be remitted on the online only. Of course, there is a maximum limit provided in case of a plotted development. It's a 2 lakh, 5 lakh, and 10 lakh. All those information is available here. So once we pay the fees, application would be accepted by the authority. Once the application is accepted, as I told you, there are various department inside RERA. Inside RERA would verify this information, verify the information before it goes to the technical. So who are all them? There are revenue department who look into your title of the document, who look into your khata, who look into your EC, who look into your mutation documents records, and if all are matching with your sanction plan, they will approve it. Your accounts and finance department verify the KYC of the promoter. Any problem, any other issues in the earlier project, any complaints are made, they will verify it. Your town planning, we call it at town and country planning, TCP. So they verify the planning, sanctions, NOC is part of it. And finally, it moved to the next technical committee. Technical committee, if you do not have anything to say, then they will move it to the joint director to the chairman. So this is a process which goes. And also, one of the participant has mention who is co-promoter. Actually, AV Chalam sir has mentioned who is co-promoter as mentioned in the RERA application. That is loosely worded as a co-promoter. Generally, co-promoter in a loose or people talking in terms of the land owners. So landowners would also call as a co-promoter in various states. So they say that if you do not have a details about the landowner separately in the application, mention the landowner as part of co-promoter. Next, in terms of the financial management, as I told you, this industry did not had any regulation prior to RERA. This industry did not had any authority to monitor, regulate the entire project as a whole. What we had is there is a agency to issue the plan. What the planning authority they does is they issue a plan based on the area or the land size, and once they issued it as a builder, I should construct that. I should construct according to that. And once I construct it, and they will come and verify it and issue the completion certificate or occupancy certificate. They were not bothered about how the funds are collected, whether funds are collected were used only for the project or not used for the project. So they were not interested to know all those details. As we know that many of the projects were delayed, which were unreasonably, and the projects delayed are ranging from 3 years to 12 years, 15 years, 20 years. People have paid money in the 1990s, still they have not received their project. What do you do for them? So, and none of this authority has ability, or they did not had a power to ask any of the promoter for why the delivery is not happening within the reasonable time which is as per the agreement. So the recourse or the solution was the customer was to approach the consumer protect and the consumer code under Consumer Protection Act or under civil code. And we know that what happened when you go to the civil code, how long it takes. So also by the time promoter would have been utilized their money, siphoned their money, diversified their money, and there was nothing for the home buyers to recover from them. So also, as we know, as we all know that unless there is a discipline in the finance, very difficult for this industry to deliver within time which is provided for the various reasons, because the industry, the real estate project generally take 2 to 5 years. In the year between 2 to 5 years, generally many things may happen. The political instability, the economic condition, market fluctuation, natural calamities, many things may happen. So during those period, if something which happened during those period, and the promoter could not cope up with any of these risk factors, then the home buyers are under risk. So considering that, what RERA says is, you follow the financial management under RERA, which is a heart and soul of the act, wherein having collected 100 rupees from the customer, you use 30 rupees. 30 rupees is free to you. You can use whatever purpose you wanted to use. But 70 rupees shall be deposited in a separate project bank account, which is a designated for that project. It is only for that project the account is opened. Please note, do not give any existing bank account details for the purpose of project RERA. Always recommend the customer open a new bank account and give that new bank account details for RERA. Existing account you can keep it for any other purpose, but for the purpose of RERA for a project, please give the exclusive account for the purpose of RERA. That is, we call it as designated project bank account for a RERA. Please note, it is not a escrow account, it is simply a designated bank account. Many of us or many of the bankers or even the authorities also loosely call this as escrow account. It is not a escrow account, it is a project designated account. As we know that as being an escrow account, it requires 2 or 3 people to operate it with a predefined condition. Here there is no predefined condition. It is a self-regulation which is imposed on the promoter by himself by virtue of the RERA Act Section 42 LD. So having deposited 70 rupees into the project bank account, please come to the chartered accountant, architect, or the engineer and collect the certificate. What that certificate talks about? See, this is a certificate, or this certificate mention that I have spent the money. I have spent the money for the purpose of construction. Please allow me to withdraw from the 70 rupees. Say all the 3 professionals certify that yes, you have spent the money, you are allowed to withdraw up to 60 rupees. So is eligible to withdraw only 60 rupees based on the percentage of completion. And having withdrawn the 60 rupees, how do I do, what do I do with it? 60 rupees shall be distributed between the landowner and the builder based on their understanding. So please note, even the landowner money which is collected for the sale of his unit, his share of unit, shall be deposited into this project bank account only. And this being the members forum, I am sure that many of you are not understood, or many are not able to convince your builders, stating that landowner amount also should be deposited into the project this bank account only. And very difficult for the landowner to convince you deposit your money also into this bank account. I will give you based on my percentage of completion. So that is where is the risk is. And please note that authority is very clear, act is very clear that entire money collected from the allottees, whether he is belong to a landowner allottee or a builder allottee, 70 rupees shall be deposited in this project bank account without fail. And having deposited that money, this has to be withdrawn for the purpose of the specific project, having spent the money, and obtaining the professional certificate. As I mentioned, who are all the professional involved and all which are the certificates? AP RERA has notified the certificates also, where the engineer, CA, and the architect required to issue these certificates for the purpose of withdrawal of money from a designated bank account, and also for the purpose of annual audit report. So this is what is the number of formats which is available, which is very much available in the AP RERA website itself. One can download and use this certificate for the purpose of issuance of withdrawal of money from the designated bank account. So having said, let us look at various other aspects which is mandatorily to be followed. It is not a optional, it is a mandatory to be followed for under RERA. Of course, at this point of time, the impact or the seriousness about these things are all less, but I'm sure that by over the period, like a SEBI took almost 20 years to stabilize themselves, and making all type of investment covers under RERA, under SEBI, irrespective of the size or the location. So like that, maybe over the period, maybe down the line 5 years, we see that every aspect of the act is mandatorily to be followed, failing which the promoters are all penalized by the authorities. As I mentioned, the entire system and the process of RERA is online, starting from filing an application till a completion. All the information will be available in the RERA website. So accordingly, registration details shall be provided. Narasimhan sir, please tell me, sir, you can type it, I can answer. So all the details about the registration would be available, all approvals would be available, all development details of the project would be updated on every quarter basis. On every quarter, section 11 of the Act and Rule 14 or 15 of AP, which is mandated that every promoter having registered the project shall file a quarterly update on the website using their login details, like a quarterly a filing of any GSTR or a TDS returns. This is also required to be mentioned, required to be filed in terms of online. The question is, okay, I will take it up, sir. I'll address this. Next is in terms of the information to the allottees, entire details about the project. As I shown you the 50 documents, the list of half a century document, half a sent document, which has to be uploaded online in a visible format, which including layout plan, stage by schedule, completion of the project, and what are the civic amenities, infrastructure, water, sanitation, play area, facilities, amenities, clubhouse, everything has to be mentioned on the website. And other general information, like as I mentioned, is responsible for to follow the act and the rules, also the regulation, and obtain occupancy certificate at the end of the project from the respective authorities. As we all know that without obtaining occupancy certificate, promoter shall not permit for anybody to occupy, because occupy certificate gives the certificate of a habit for the purpose of habitation by the local authority, and also provide essential services till they form an association of allottees. We all know that formation of a allottees association is a mandatory under RERA, and many of the states have ignored this formation of the association under respective local laws. Local laws would under AP's Andhra Pradesh Apartment Ownership Act 1972 or Apartment Flat Ownership Act, that would be the one more. And also recently I had a occasion to talk to Federation of Telangana Chamber and Commerce and Industry, where Mr. Vishnuvardhan Reddy was also, Vishnuvardhan Raju was there. He was a retired retired deputy registrar. He did mention in Telangana or AP, what we had is a Public Society Act. Under Public Society Act also one can register, but rather than Public Society Act, it is very important for us to understand the impact of it, and also under cooperative society. If we call under cooperative society, what will happen? The registrar of cooperative will have a upper hand than the society people in case of something goes on. So these are all the important aspects one has to understand when they form the society and hand it over those things. So under the act, till formation of the association, the promoter shall maintain the association, maintain the property, provide the basic essential services like water, electricity, and the sanitation to the allottees, of course at a reasonable cost. And also it is mandated to execute a sale deed within 3 months from the date of receipt of occupancy certificate. Next is the advertisement. As I mentioned, this industry follow ruthlessly in terms of the advertisement. And if you see the advertisement versus the reality, it is like a hell and a heaven. That is what is the experience. And section 12 mandates the veracity of the advertisement, and also expect the promoter shall advertise the way that it is to be delivered, not the way that he presumed or is intent to deliver. What are the way that he delivered, that's the same thing. And if you see the judgment of Maharashtra RERA in terms of the Godrej properties, it's very clear that veracity of advertisement is a one of the fundamental, and also they levied a huge penalty on them for not following it. And also we have Advertisement Standard Council of India also, they also follow the similar thing under for the purpose of veracity. So we all know that, like when we see the advertisement brochure, Advertisement brochures provide various aspects. Please ask the builder, is this the way that you deliver the project, or is it all provided? If so, it is well and good. Otherwise, you have to ask him to modify it. Simple reason is 5 minutes drive from the to the airport. So 5 minutes at what time, in what way, which condition, which road? Will you able to drive 5 minutes? So that is called veracity of advertisement. And also walkable distance to supermarket. How much is a walkable distance? Is it a 2 kilometers is a walkable distance for you, and is it a 200 meters for me? So this is a veracity of advertisement. World class amenities. What do you mean by world class amenities? Do anybody define? Having a pool itself is a world class for me, and having something else is a helipad is a world class amenities for me. So these are all called veracity of advertisement. And we all know that these are the advertisement which is very common in this industry in terms of providing mentioning in the brochure. However, the reality would be the different. Please ensure and advise the clients while they come out with the brochure, because for your information, brochure is also a part of the registration document. Brochure shall be submitted on a very quarterly update in terms of what are the brochures you have printed. So having said, it would be available in the public domain about those things. And if those things are not delivered, then the home buyers can hold responsibility for the promoter to deliver it. So advance payment, as we know that like earlier there was a practice of collecting 20, 25%, 30%, 40% before entering into a agreement for sale. Now section 13 of the act is very clear that the moment you reach 10%, you should get into agreement with the customer or the allotee, and that agreement required to be registered with the sub registrar. Earlier, there was no mandatory registration. Now it is very mandated under the act that 10% you can't collect more than 10%. If you collect, please get into agreement, and that has to be registered with the sub registrar office. So without registering, without entering into agreement for sale, one cannot collect more money. And this is also has to be certified as a part of our annual accounts as a RERA audit report. As part of RERA audit report, any other compliances under the act are followed or not. Please ensure these are all the things which have to be taken care of. And alteration, section 14, adherence to the sanction plan and project specification. We know that earlier for that information, the earlier agreements prior to RERA, if you read that, where the promoter reserve the right, builder reserve the right without any consent from the buyer or the allottees or their families for the purpose of construction of additional floor, alteration, modification. But those rights are taken away now. Section 14 mandates at least two-third consent required, from the allottees in case of any modification from the sanction plan. There you have a minor modification or major modification. Minor modification refers to the internal modification of your house. Then you take consent of only that buyer. In case of a major is, say you have a staircase on the northeast side, where instead of putting a northeast side staircase, you're putting a south side. You have to, that is a deviation from the sanction plan. Go and take the two-third consent from the allottees. Otherwise, you build as per the sanction plan. Simple example, we all purchase a car. How do we purchase a car? Looking at the specification. By the time delivery, if they say that instead of brake, clutch and the gear, say there is no brake, do we buy it? The answer may be yes, or answer may be no. So that is what is the intention. Whatever you promise, you please adhere to it. Please specify, please fix to it. That is what is important. If it is not able to perform that delivery, go back and take the permission from the allottees. It is not that you are not allowed to do it, but take the consent from the allottees. Because as a person, I have considered, I have purchased this property, booked this property, looking at north side as an entrance. All of a sudden, you come back and say north is not an entrance, south is an entrance. I don't want to buy something which is of a south side entrance. And earlier, You have mentioned 20 meter or 20 meter of swimming pool. All of a sudden you come and said instead of 20 meters, we give 100-meter swimming pool. Is it larger than what I have promised, sir? Please take it. No, I am not interested to take more than 20 meters because my walking space is reduced. Who will maintain? You may give an elephant for me to maintain, but who will maintain the elephant? So that is a maintenance cost I have to undergo. And there are various cases which are also reported and also we are handling. It is a prestigious project of the promoter. He has given a water fountain at the entrance of the project by spending 1 crore rupees. The alati said, please remove it. We are not interested about the water fountain because that require about 1 lakh rupees per month maintenance of electricity, their material and also the water. So should I spend 1 lakh rupees every month? So no, because please stick on to your advertisement material. Please stick on to your plan which you have promised to us at the time of registration. That is what's important. So if you do not want to follow it, come back and ask the allottees, come back and ask the home buyer, take the 2/3 consent. See, I wanted to do this, please give me the consent. It's permitted. Then having permitted, go back and take the consent, inform the same to the authority stating that as a consent has been given by the promoter, by the allottees, and here is a modification. And next is a section 15, which is a transfer or assignment in the project. As we know that it is a very common that one builder transfer is as right to other builder or for whatever be the reason. In that case, like please come and take the 2/3 consent and also prior permission from the authority. It has been since last 1 year, we have seen at least 5% of the projects which is available in the market is going under a transfer, like I do not have a fund, please take over. So various takeover of projects are happening. So for that you need a consent, because I have booked this apartment looking at the prestige as a brand. I have looked at this my home as a brand. Tomorrow my home is selling this project to somebody else. I don't know who is that fellow, how he will deliver it, and he may be a big brand, but I don't know about his commitment. And he's coming first time into the Hyderabad, first time into the Vishakhapatnam. I don't know how he'll deliver it. So I do not want. If you want to do it, please come and take my consent. I will give the consent. If you able to accumulate 2/3 consent of the allottees, then is permitted to transfer. Otherwise, it is not permitted to transfer. Next is the interest portion. As we all know that invariably there would be a delay in terms of the delivery of the project to the home buyers because of the industry itself, because of various factors which are all not considered by the builder at the time of committing to the customer. Say an example, the recent COVID, and or maybe a natural calamity of a tsunami or flooding, or maybe a political destability, the political unrest, whatever be the reason, those are all something which are all not calculated by the builder or a developer. So there would be invariably a delay in every project. So if delay, what will happen? There would be a compensation. We all know that what would be the compensation pre-RERA. We say that 3 rupees per square feet, 5 rupees per square feet. If so, 5 rupees into 1,000 square feet, 5,000 rupees is the delay compensation. Is it I'm eligible for having paid 40-45 lakhs? The answer is no. So that's why RERA has come out with the rate of interest under the RERA in terms of a delay compensation is SBI MCLR plus 2%. Say that's about 8.5 to 10.5%. Depends on the SBI plus MCLR. So it's very pertinent to note that earlier, in case of a customer pays delayed payment, the builder used to mention 16%, 18%, 24% for such delay. However, he used to pay 3 to 5 rupees per square feet of delay per month. Now under RERA, it is equal. If you say, if you willing to pay SBI plus 2% MCLR, even I am also liable to pay the same thing. Both are at the equal foot. So that is what is important. And also please inform, advise your customers or the builders, do not delay delivery of the project because it eats up the compensation. Say 100 apartments, people have paid 40 lakh rupees. Say like say 7.5% or 9% is SBI plus 2% MCLR. That means it's a 30,000 rupees per month of delay. 30 into 100 apartment, whether he will do it anything or not, he has to cough up with 30 lakh rupees as an interest to the home buyer for such delay. So that is the impact of it. 30 lakhs rupees he can borrow and complete the project at the early itself rather than to delay it and make a compensation clause. Next is insurance. Of course, AP has a mandatory insurance for the construction. The same insurance copy shall be furnished along with the sanction plan. But however, RERA has traveled beyond the construction. For the title also, insurance is a mandatory. On the land, insurance is mandatory. However, as of now, in India, there are only two players who are providing the insurance on the title. So that is a challenge, and as India and as a state, we are not equipped for the purpose of indemnifying the land title, because we know that government itself is not guaranteeing the land title to the end users. So we may see some more time in terms of how do we evolve in terms of insurance and the title of the land. Handover, as I told, like once the project is completed, it is a mandatory that project shall be handed over to the association, like the common areas, and the land has to be handed over to the association along with the other corpus funds or any other project related document. No limitation. This is a one important aspect, like in case of a title is defect, lifetime guarantee shall be given by a promoter for a title defect. And that means to say that even after this generation, if something goes wrong in terms of the title, so I as a buyer can go back and hold him responsible to indemnify for a title defect. And next is the defect liability in terms of the construction. As we all know that structural defect, which is a very common, and also most of the builders give a guarantee or warranty for 1 year or 2 years. However, RERA has traveled up to 5 years. For 5 years, you have to give the structural defect, workmanship, quality of provision of service, or any somebody come back and say that my wall has cracked. So 5 years, and what is 5 years is a structural defect. First we have to understand whether it's a structural defect. My wood, my bathroom door, it's always prone to like damage due to water. Okay, is it a workmanship or a quality? So these are all the challenges which the inherent act has, and this has to be addressed by the builder, and also he has to undertake, also consider what would be the costing because of the defect liability service for 5 years. Say normally 1 or 2 years should be the warranty. Those 1 or 2 years also respective manufacturers used to give the warranty to the builder. Now after that, now the builder has to give it to the customer, and if it is proved that there is a structural defect, quality of provision of service, and obligation and the materials which you use, and such defects shall be addressed and repaired within 30 days. Otherwise, allotee is entitled for a compensation. So section 13 already I have explained in terms of 10%. For you to collect more than 10%, get into your agreement. That agreement require a registration. Section 14 also I have explained minor defect, minor changes, major changes in the apartment or a project require the 2/3 consent of the allottees. Advertisement, section 11(2) of the Act mandates every advertisement of a RERA registered project shall have a RERA registration number and also the website of the authority. Like in case of any investment, we see that IRDA, in case of insurance, we see a IRDA approval number. In case of any other instrument or investment, we see the SEBI or IRDA registration number. Similarly, the AP RERA registration number is mandatory for all the registered project. On 31st March 2018, the Maharashtra has levied 50 lakhs rupees penalty to Piramal Group for not displaying the RERA registration in a prominent way. So section 11(2) says there should be a mention about the registration number and the website, and that shall be visible in a prominent way. What do you mean by a prominent way? There is no definition for a prominent way, But however, various authorities are trying to give a circular or notification, say that how it should be. Accordingly, AP RERA also has given that this is how, in terms of the guidelines for a RERA, if this is advertisement and you have to use this AP RERA stamp, this is a AP RERA stamp they have clearly given. And also in the website of the AP RERA, it is given in a CDR format, Corel Draw format also, and in between you mention what is the register number of AP RERA and the project name. So this is how it has to be mentioned, and it has to be prominently displayed. What do you mean by prominently? The reader of that advertisement should able to read or see the registration number. Generally in a registration, in generally in any advertisement, what would be prominently visible? Prominently visible maybe the project name or the builder name or the mobile number in terms of a contact. So to that extent, this has to be visible prominently. So that is how what is called section 11(2) of the Act about advertisement and display of the same. Agreement for sale, which is available in the RERA website. I invite the members to download it and read it. It's a good piece of knowledge for all of us to understand about the agreement for sale and clauses thereon. And this is the penalty notice which is notified by the authority, stating that earlier authority was given a time. See, section 3 mandates the registration of the real estate project prior to marketing, prior to advertisement, prior to collection of money, prior to inviting anybody for look into your project. That means to say it is a prior registration of the real estate project. Mean to say that earlier we used to launch a project which we call it as a pre-launch. Whether we had a plan, whether we had a sanction, we used to launch it, subsequently used to go and get the plan sanctions and collect the money and do the development. Under RERA, unless you have all the documents, you have seen 50 list of documents, unless you have 50 list of documents, you cannot go to RERA for a registration. You should have all those information with you. It is like, unless you have unless you have a car which is there in the showroom, you are not allowed to book a car, you are not allowed to collect a money. Unless you have a product of a insurance, you cannot allow to you are not allowed to collect the money from the investors. Similarly, under real estate also, unless you have a plan in your hand, unless you have certain that what is that you're going to construct, certain that what how you're going to construct, you cannot collect the money from the customers. So section 3 mandates the prior registration. That means to say that for any real estate company or a real estate promoter to come to market, come to public, having identified a place for the project, it takes at least, for a smaller project 6 to 8 months, for the bigger project maybe about a year to 2 years, and for a large project it may be 5 years also. Till that time, you're not allowed to market, you're not allowed to collect money from the customers. So earlier RERA has given a relaxation by levying some small penalties for delay in registration. Now recent notification of the authority 15th December 2020, which is very clear that in case of non-registration of a project in accordance with section 3, that means if you are contravened any of the project registration, you are liable to pay penalty at the rate as specified under section 59 of the Act. You know what I mean by section 59 under RERA? The penalty may be levied up to 10% of the project cost. You haven't heard, we haven't heard, the penalty would be based on the project cost. At max, what we used to see 500 rupees, 1000 rupees, or at max equivalent to the tax amount in our career. But RERA is a very harsh and very strong in terms of the levying of penalty. Even forget about 10%, even if you levy 1% of the project cost, that means before you launch a project, you lost your 1% of net profit in the business. What you have is 5 to 6% as a business profit in net profit, of which 1% has gone at the launching, even before registration itself, as a penalty. So this is an important aspect of it. In the Karnataka state, about 250 projects have suffered 1% penalty already. So in AP, they were gracious to give about 50,000, 1 lakh rupees as a penalty, and now, or maybe equivalent to the project registration cost was a penalty. Now it's very clear that no more delay is accepted and penalty would be levied as per the act itself under section 59. And if you see various circulars are referenced in the first paragraph, those were all the earlier circular are referenced by the authority in case of a lower penalty other than section 59. So very important in piece of notification to advise our clients, please do not contravene section 3, failing which you are liable to pay the penalties. And also this is about in terms of timelines for a revise due to the COVID, they have extended the end date of the project by 9 months. So this is the penalty provision, penalty section, section 59. In case of a promoter fail to register, he end up with paying 10% of the project cost. If he do not pay, then there is an imprisonment which may be extended up to 3 years. And also agent is also liable to pay penalty in case if he does not register as a real estate agent with the authority and market the project. So it's very important. Now the agents cannot market any real estate registered project without registration with the authority. And also section 60, section 61, 62, 63, all the sections has a mention about 5% of the project cost as a penalty. So consider if the authority start levying a penalty of 10%, where is the money for the promoter? He has to leave the project at the initial stages itself and move out of the business. To that extent, it has an impact on the penalty provisions under the RERA in case of non-compliance. So this is the end of my presentation. I can take any questions related to the RERA, which may be of a, interest to the members. And still, if time permits at the end, I can give other inputs also. So can I start with some of the questions which are posted in the chat? Is it okay? Or any other?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
some questions are posted in chat box. Sir.
Okay. Can I take that, Prashant, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. First question, AV Chalam sir Adigaru, who is a co-promoter? As I mentioned, 2ZK, defend a promoter, and a co-promoter would be a landowner in case of you wanted to mention in the application. Or Maharashtra has said in case of an investor who blocked the apartment at the initial stages for an intention of sale at the later point of time is also a co-promoter. So, and AP has not given any such clarity. Please mention landowner as a co-promoter. Next, somebody, Mr. A. Sanesi, one more question on co-promoter. In the application, it is described as landowners only if sale transaction is involved. Whom does the sale transaction pertain to? Basically, many of the landowner do not or not intend to sell. They wanted to retain their units themselves for the purpose of renting it out. However, very difficult for somebody to mention it during the period of RERA. They may, for the financial difficulties, they may dispose. Don't take that risk. And this intention of not sale is for a lifetime. It is not only for a during the registration or during the sale. Even after RERA, if even after project is completed, if the landowner intend to sell, they cannot sell it because in the initial application they mentioned it as a not for sale. So please mention the landowner details also. If they do not sell it, well and good. Otherwise, they will not have one more opportunity unless they go back to the authority for making necessary corrections. What happens next is Malladi Muralidhar Garu. What happens when a project is launched with few sites owner? Example, 10 site owners register the land of more than specified area in their own name for their share and give the construction work for flats as a contract to contractor for construction. I think even this type project calls RERA registration. Further, there is no association and GST registration too. Can you throw some light? So Muralidhar garu, first we should understand 10 మంది కలిసి 10 సైట్లు తీసుకొని అపార్ట్మెంట్ కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ దేనికి ఇస్తున్నారు? ఈజ్ ఇట్ ఫర్ దర్ ఓన్ యూస్ ఆర్ ఫర్ ద పర్పస్ ఆఫ్ ఎక్స్ప్లాయిటేషన్, ఫర్ ఎ కమర్షియల్ ఎక్స్ప్లాయిటేషన్? దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఈస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. RERA mandates for one to register for the purpose of sale. It should be a real estate project. First, it should be a real estate project. Second, the intention of that project construction is for the purpose of sale. ఇక్కడ ఆల్ 10 మెంబర్స్, మీరు ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఇచ్చిన దాంట్లో 10 మంది కలిసి వాడు ల్యాండ్ డెవలప్ 10 మంది, సే అన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 10 సెంట్ ఆర్ 10 వాటర్ మేబీ, ఇట్ కమ్స్ అవుట్ విత్ ద 20 అపార్ట్మెంట్ అనుకోండి కలిపి. సో 20 అపార్ట్మెంట్ ఎలా కడతారు వాళ్ళు? దే హ్యావ్ టు గో టు ద రెస్పెక్టివ్ ప్లానింగ్ అథారిటీ ఫర్ దెమ్ టు ఫస్ట్ టేక్ ద ప్లాన్ అప్రూవల్ తీసుకున్న తర్వాతే కట్టేసి ఉంటుంది. సో ద మూమెంట్ యూ హ్యావ్ ఎ ప్లాన్ approval, condition satisfy అయిన తర్వాత next test is whether this is the intention is for sale. If the intention is for sale, out of 20 apartments, even one apartment they have an intent to sell, then come to RERA, please register with it. So it is very clear, if the intention is for sale, it require a registration under RERA. Second, as you brought GST, please note that RERA is a very specific act for the real estate. So most of the act, whether it's a GST, whether it's a income tax, whether it's a RBI, all the laws, all the statute which is going under amendment or modification, having borrowed the definition which from the RERA. So it is very much important for us to know that the definition of RERA, definition of a real estate project under RERA for the purpose of GST, definition of a carpet area under RERA for GST, definition of promoter for the purpose of GST. So most of this as borrowed from the RERA Act for the other legislation, like under section 80 IBA of the income tax also borrowed various definition from the RERA itself. So it's very important for us to know the RERA definitions to suggest or provide any other services also other GST also. Narasimhan sir, generally landowner portion of units will be sold by landowner. Practically, landowner will not accept to keep the proceeds from his portion with the developer. He is required to open a separate designated bank account. Narasimhan sir, as at this point of time, AP doesn't permit it. Only in the state of Maharashtra and Goa, where landowner ki separate bank account icharu, they can deposit their proceeds into their project bank account and they should report to the RERA separately. But other than those states, all other state mandates to deposit the money in the respective project bank account, which is open for the purpose of designated bank account. And this bank account details మనం RERA upload చేసినప్పుడు at the time of registration ఇస్తాము, this is a RERA bank account అనేసి. అదే bank account డిపాజిట్ చేయాలా? Yes, what you said is practically difficult. It is like very difficult to accept it and understand, because it require a change of practice now. It need a change of practice in the industry, and even the industry also have represented to the government. Government has declined to say that this is the act, we are helpless. Internally, as a landowner and a builder, you should have a mechanism, you should have a understanding in terms of money withdrawals. వాళ్ళు ఏం చెప్పారంటే, బిల్డర్, ల్యాండ్ బిల్డర్, యువర్ ద బోత్ ద పీపుల్ కమింగ్ ఫార్వర్డ్ అండ్ డెవలపింగ్. మీలోనే అండర్స్టాండింగ్ లేదు అంటే కస్టమర్స్ ఇంకెంత బాగుపడతారు? సో ఫస్ట్ యూ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ ఏ గుడ్ మ్యారేజ్, యూ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ ఏ గుడ్ లివింగ్. ఇఫ్ యూ డోంట్ హ్యావ్ దట్, then it becomes the like children, home buyers or allottees are children, they will be becoming orphans. So that is how they have given an example. There is no exception to it, sir. Bharti garu, sir, the two professional certificates are differing with each other. The third professional CA is being put in a difficult situation in arriving conclusion with referring to amount spent on the designated project. Can you discuss on such cases? Okay. See, basically, I would like to mention first certificate we should obtain from the architect. What is the architect certify? Architect certify percentage of completion of the project. Architect doesn't mention what is the money which is eligible to withdraw. Architect doesn't mention what is the value of the completion of the project. He simply says that 4 ఫ్లోర్లు ఉన్నాయి and each floor slab casting would amount to 10%, 4 ఫ్లోర్లు వేసాను 40% casting, 20% wall, 10% flooring, 5% plastering, 2% plumbing, 1% electric. So total 89% completion అనేసి ఆయన వేస్తారు అంతే ఆర్కిటెక్ట్. So that is called architect gives. And then come to the engineer. Engineer value, what is the value of that money which has went into that project. Basically he gives the valuation of the building. He doesn't look into anything beyond building. Building physical structure చూస్తారు. Same he say that 10 కోట్ల ప్రాజెక్ట్ కాస్ట్ అనుకోండి, he value it, the project cost he may arrive at only 6 crore rupees, where మన architect 85% ఇచ్చారనమాట, where మన engineer giving 6 crore rupees of 10 crore. That means according to engineer it is only 60%, but architect given 85%. The reason architect has to be measure the work in terms of the physical work. What happened for an architect, initial construction work is more, so their construction percentage would be high in the initial. At later when they commit for the final finishing like electrification, plumbing, flooring, percentage allocation would be lesser. So at later point of time the movement would be lesser. But however engineer is the ulta. Initially only the RCC, cement and bricks would be available, which is lesser percentage of cost compared to the final finishing వచ్చేంట్లో bathroom fitting, flooring, electric, lift, gate and remaining beautification works are expensive. So that is why he gives 60% architect, architect give 85% and the engineer gives 60%. And as a chartered accountant I play important role, because banker accept only a chartered accountant certificate for the purpose of withdrawal of money. Because as a chartered accountant the form 3 in Andhra Pradesh has to be measured exactly, and I have to say that this is the money you are allowed to withdraw. So how do I verify it? How do I do it? I issue a certificate based on the books of accounts maintained by the promoter. Only these certificates which are issued by the architect or engineer is a guidance to me. It is not based on that only I will issue. I will look into the books of account. I'll calculate what is the money incurred versus estimated cost of the project. If my books of account talks about 7 crore rupees as the money incurred towards the project, and I issue a certificate stating that you are allowed to withdraw 7 crore rupees based on the percentage of completion of the project. It's very clear and very settled law and very much understood now that it is a chartered accountant. Based on his certificate is only money is allowed to withdraw from the project designated bank account. Yes, consider if all the three professions give the same percentage, then that is a fraud. I'm sure that all of you agree that all the three professionals of a different nature, different industry cannot issue a same percentage of certificate for a same work, and it's highly impossible. Then if somebody issue the certificate of same percentage, then that is not correct one, and professionals have not worked properly while issuing the certificate. So that is what is the that's how it has to be looked into, sir.
Okay,
Next.
sir. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. In the initial stages of the project, if allotee pays the agreed amount entirely, can the sale deed directly be executed by passing the agreement for sale? Sir, if you read the one of the important aspect, section 11 mandates occupancy certificate is a must for executing a sale deed. So without having a sale occupancy certificate, it is not permitted to execute a sale deed, sir. It's very important for us to know that various authorities have already issued the orders directing not to register any sale deed without having a occupancy certificate, and it's and also levied a penalty. If you read yesterday's 26th October 2020 Maharashtra RERA order, they levied 1 crore rupees as a penalty for not complying with one of these provisions, sir. So please ensure that the penalties under RERA is very huge. Authority has a power to issue. power to levy the penalty, and very difficult to go for a appeal, because you cannot and at the appeal also on the question of law nobody can give the relief. Okay, it's a pure it's a fact that you have violated it, and your authority has all the right to levy the penalty as per the section, as per section 60. Next is Vasudev Murthy Garu. Before registration with RERA, the promoter has collected the total amount of the unit and registration is completed without construction cost. Wow. Can you ask for construction cost for separately? Who has to bear the labor cess, either allotee or the promoter? Sir, first of all, RERA registration లేకుండా రిజిస్ట్రేషన్ చేసుకోకూడదు, చేసేసారనమాట. అయిన తర్వాత మళ్ళీ ఇంకా బిల్డర్ కూర్చొని కస్టమర్తో నెగోషియేట్ చేస్తున్నాడు అంటే ఈజ్ ఎ క్రేజీ ఫెలో. బికాస్ బయ్యర్ కోపం వచ్చి రేరాతో పోయారు అనుకోండి, సో అనవసరం గొడవ అవుతుంది, అనవసరం పెనాల్టీలు పడుతుంది. ఆస్క్ హిమ్ టు అమికబుల్లీ సెటిల్ ఇట్, ప్లస్ ఆర్ మైనస్. దట్స్ వాట్ ఈస్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ సార్. See, earlier we had a concept of land matram register cheskoni construction agreement separate cheskonedi undindi, or registering the semi finished apartment. That is not permitted, sir. For the purpose of bank, we all used to our builder used to enter into a semi finished project, separate the construction agreement cheskonevaadu. That is not permitted. I don't know, from the inception Karnataka or other state was not permitted. Only this practice exists in the AP and Telangana. Of course, bankers were also very comfortable in terms of getting a agreement, sale deed registered stating it's a semi finished, and subsequently you get into a construction agreement. Very difficult nowadays. That is not permitted as per law. Next, AV Chalam Garu. If the area is less than 500 square meter, but the units are 9, then there are registration required. Yes, sir. Sir, this is section 32A, sir. Section 32A, if you strictly reading of the section, both the conditions shall be satisfied for a RERA registration, sir. However, if you read the recent judgment of Maharera, of course, that is before the High Court of Mumbai High Court now, wherein a promoter has challenged, my land is less than 500 square meter, but 22 shops are there, so that's why I'm not registered. Strict reading of section 32A is exempt registering of the project unless both the section, both the conditions are satisfied, but authorities are not agreeing for it. If any of the conditions are satisfied, you come forward and register, sir. ఎందుకంటే proviso to section 32A ఒకటి, where it mentioned government or the government has a power to mention even if the land area is less than 500 square meters, sir. Okay, so that is what is the important part of it. So for the purpose of this section 32A proviso chadavandi. If the appropriate government consider it necessary, it may reduce the threshold below 500 square meters or 8 apartment as the case may be. That is where every government is taking a standard. So even though if section 32A మీద కాదు, proviso కింద మీరు వచ్చి రిజిస్టర్ చేసుకోండి అనేసి. And what is the difference between a structural engineer and a project engineer as a RERA application? So structural engineer is the engineer who certify the structure of the project, sir. So it's very important that to AP and also in Maharashtra, they're mandatorily asking to give the structural engineer certificate because of the quality of the construction which goes into the project has to be with the basic requirement of the respective structural design and also the quality. That is why they're asking which standard, under which standard the structure is built, so they have to give it, sir. Project engineer is the person who monitor entire project as a engineer, sir. In many a time, structural engineer and project engineer may be one and the same. Generally, structural engineers are registered and also they have studied structural engineer as a subject itself and qualified themselves to issue the structural stability certificate, sir. So this is the questions. These are all the questions which is there in the chat box. Still, if you have any questions, you are free to ask. Already we have crossed 6:30, the scheduled time. నేను ఒకడే మాట్లాడుతున్నాను. Now you can allow others to talk also. I can listen to others also for some time. And
There is one
depending
more
on the
query from A.V. Chalam garu, sir.
చెప్పండి సార్. చలం గారు సార్ మీరు స్క్రీన్ మీద రండి సార్ చూద్దామంట. Yes sir. For change in designated bank account, prior permission is required. Yes sir, compulsory sir, because section, if you read section 4 lo miki 4 to LD mandates a opening of a designated bank account. Anything modification to that, you require a permission from the authority sir. Not only the project bank account, any changes you have to update to the authority about that modification sir. Namaste sir. Namaste sir. Yes sir. Hope I clarified Chalam garu. Mute lo unnaru sir మీరు. Yes sir.
Thank you.
Sir. Thank you sir. Any other questions sir?
Members, any other queries, questions?
Sir,
Yes sir.
sir, can we have any question on CA certificate?
Yes sir, you can have sir. Certainly sir.
Yeah, in form number 3,
Yes sir.
initially the client is supposed to give estimated costs.
Yes sir.
The estimated cost, by any chance, if he has wrongly given certain like TDR he has not taken, or something like a land cost he might have wrongly projected, which were overshooted in the actual expenditure.
Yes sir.
In such a case, when we are giving the withdrawal certificate, because he has not taken those things in the estimated cost, what is the course of action?
Okay. Sir, estimated cost has a two portion, as we are all aware that one is the land cost, another is the construction cost. Okay. Land cost lo, unless he made a mistake in putting a land cost, generally tapparadu anamata. Me query vachesi TDR cost meeda. What do you mean by TDR cost? Can you just let me know what do you mean by TDR cost?
TDR is for additional construction.
Okay.
This temporary development receipts, they have to pay additional cost so that they'll be given permission to construct additional floors or additional construction space.
Okay. Very good, sir.
Which
So,
may in big projects, which may run into crores also.
very much, sir. Very much true. Which is a very much normal practice to have a TDR, and which should be loaded prior to RERA. We should understand there was a free hand for the promoter to load the TDR, go on a one-sided in terms of taking the approval for an additional floor or additional built-up area. Post RERA, ఒక్కసారి RERA registration అయిన తర్వాత, in case the promoter wanted to load the TDR and construct additional floor, section 14 will trigger. What section 14 talks about? Section 14 is very much clear in terms of modification to the plan. You should go back and take the approval of the authority. So when you go to the approval of the authority, at that point of time, you will clear that. That means you say, మీరు ఫస్ట్ 2/3 కన్సెంట్ తీసుకోవాలి కస్టమర్తో. 10 ఫ్లోర్లు ఉంది, నేను TDR కొంటున్నాను, ఇంకా 2 ఫ్లోర్లు వేస్తున్నాను, ఫస్ట్ నా కన్సెంట్ ఇవ్వండి, మీకు ఓకేనా అనేసి. వాళ్ళు ఇచ్చిన తర్వాత దెన్ ఐ విల్ గో టు ద అథారిటీ. ఏది ప్లాన్ అథారిటీ, ప్లానింగ్ అథారిటీతో తర్వాత పోతాను, ముందే పయ్యే కాదనమాట నేను. ఎందుకంటే నువ్వు కొనిన తర్వాత ప్లాన్ మాడిఫై చేసే కాదనమాట. ప్లానింగ్ అథారిటీతో పోయి 10 ఫ్లోర్స్ ఉండేది 10 ఫ్లోర్స్ మీద తీసుకుంటాను నేను. 10 ఫ్లోర్స్ అయిన తర్వాత 12 ఫ్లోర్స్ అయిన తర్వాత దెన్ యూ గో టు ద RERA అథారిటీ. చేంజింగ్ దట్ నేను మాడిఫై చేస్తున్నాను అంటే ఆ మాడిఫికేషన్ అప్పుడు యూ కెన్ మాడిఫై ఆల్ దిస్ కాస్ట్ ఆల్సో సార్. If you see, okay, this is the act. I'll open the act itself. Screen కనపడుతుందా సార్?
Yes sir, visible sir.
Yes sir, yes sir. So if you read section 14, adherence to the sanction plan. So this is what is proposed project shall be developed completed in accordance with the sanction plan. So మీరు లేకపోతే 2/3 కన్సెంట్ తీసుకొని మీరు చేయాలి. సో దట్ మీన్స్ టు సే మీ ప్రకారం యూ కెనాట్ లోడ్ ద TDR వితౌట్ టేకింగ్ ద కన్సెంట్ నెంబర్ 1, వితౌట్ టేకింగ్ ద ప్రయర్ అప్రూవల్ ఆఫ్ ద అథారిటీ. వన్స్ అథారిటీతో అయిన తర్వాత RERAతో పోవాలి. RERA ఎలా ఎనీహౌ దే విల్ గివ్ దట్ ఆప్షన్. వెన్ యూ చేంజ్ ద శాంక్షన్ ప్లాన్, మళ్ళీ వెళ్ళేసి వాళ్ళకి శాంక్షన్ ప్లాన్ మాడిఫికేషన్కి ఇవ్వాలి. ఇచ్చేటప్పుడు ఈ కాస్టింగ్ అని ఆటోమేటిక్ మారిపోతుంది సార్. 2 ఫ్లోర్ ఎక్స్ట్రా పడుతుంది అంటే ఆటోమేటికలీ 2 ఫ్లోర్ కాస్టింగ్ కూడా ఎక్స్ట్రా వస్తుంది మీకు. Not only the TDR cost, construction cost also go for a modification, sir. Please understand, without this, as a professionals, we should not issue a certificate just to add the TDR into it. Then because we are issuing a certificate in accordance with the law, it is not only for the purpose of withdrawal. This withdrawal shall be in accordance with the law, which also consider for the modification of the plan also, sir. Hope I am clarified, sir. Thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
In case of any mistake happen at the time of estimated cost of project, how to rectify that?
What is a mistake? First, you should get that.
The development cost itself has taken this has taken wrongly
Okay.
or not fully loaded the total cost of the project.
Mm-hmm.
So later point of time they wanted to increase the cost, or because of the delay it is increasing the cost itself. Either
Okay.
maybe increase in the material price, whatever it may be.
So section form 2 or 1 అనుకుంటా, 1 or 2 is a engineer అనుకుంటాను ఏపీలో. If you see any additional cost which will be incurred by the promoter, okay, he can certify as a part of engineer cost and is allowed to withdraw. Okay. So basically you have to see the incurred cost which is because what I'm giving is a estimate, it is not the accurate. The estimate is, as the name itself talks about, it's a estimate. Instead of mentioning 100 rupees, you might have mentioned 95 or 110. Okay, maybe your cost end up with having 125. Just an estimate. It is that cushion, that per a small percentage is always available to you. However, instead of putting 20 crores, మీరు 2 కోట్లు వేసారు అంటే, yes, it is a wrong. You have to go back to the authority, file a application for modification, change of the estimated cost, get it rectified. Otherwise, what happens as a chartered accountant, you cannot unanimously take, sir తప్పేసేసారు సార్ 2 కోట్లు కాదు 20 కోట్లు వేసి నేను I will allow him to withdraw అంటే, primarily we are at fault because registration documents talks about 2 crore rupees as an estimate, and we cannot take it as a 20 crore rupees and say that you are allowed to withdraw 16 crores anesi. So he has to go back and take the permission from the authority, make it as what is the estimated cost permitted, accordingly allow him to withdraw, sir. Yes, sir. Narasimhan, sir.
Thank you, sir. And one more thing, sir, that I have posted a query regarding the withdrawal of that landlord portion and that withdrawal of as per 70% certification, right?
Yes, sir.
In that now, actually, practically, it is very difficult to keep the money with the landowners or with the promoter. And second thing is, landowner has kept all the money initially itself for anchoring the land. Later point of time, when the promoter is going to incur the cost, put together, we are calculating the percentage.
Yes,
the withdrawal from the promoter for is more, and landowner is very, very limited. Because the total put together, then landowner portion is not typically landowner is not allowed to sell his plots at all.
Sir, basically, నేను చెప్పాను మీకు, it is very, very important for us to understand that what I have registered is a land come development. Okay, it's a project I have registered anamata. But our practice is all always is landowner is separate to developer is separate anamata. But under RERA, unless both are put together, and very difficult to confine or define the projects and also equivalent to withdrawal, sir. First of all, మీరు డబ్బులు ఉంచేది కాదు, కస్టమర్ ల్యాండ్ ఓనర్ తో కొంటున్నాను, నేను బిల్డర్ పేరు చెక్ ఎందుకు ఇవ్వాలి అంటే అడుగుతారు అనమాట. ఈవెన్ బ్యాంకర్ ఆల్సో విల్ నాట్ అక్సెప్ట్ ఇట్. సెకండ్ ఈజ్ ల్యాండ్ ఓనర్, నేను ఎందుకు ఇవ్వాలి, నీ అకౌంట్ లో ఇస్తే నాకు వస్తుందో లేదో తెలియదు. జాయింట్ డెవలప్మెంట్ అయ్యే వరకు బానే ఉంటారు, డెవలప్మెంట్ అగ్రిమెంట్ అయితేనే డిఫరెన్స్ ఆఫ్ ఒపీనియన్ మొదలైపోతుంది అనమాట. పెళ్లి తర్వాత అనమాట, పెళ్లి తర్వాత ఇలా గొడవలు ఉంటుంది, అలా ఉంటుంది అనమాట. ల్యాండ్ ఓనర్ కి మళ్ళీ బిల్డర్ కి. ఓకే, వీడు చెప్పింది వాడు ఒప్పుకోడు, వాడు చెప్పింది వీడు ఒప్పుకోడు అనమాట. ఆల్వేస్ దాంట్లో డబ్బుల మ్యాటర్ అయితే ఇంకా స్ట్రాంగ్ గా ఉంటారు. బట్ RERA is no exception to it, sir. They have to come together, have a consensus to it, and to the extent they also should have one common and strong agreement to it, sir. There is no exception to it, sir. One way what we recommend is let the landowner take the check in his name, deposit into in his bank account, same amount let him transfer to the RERA bank account immediately or a reasonable time, and once money has gone into RERA bank account, ask the builder to withdraw and give it to the landowner anamata on double, so that the money has gone into the project account and section 4 to LD compliance untundi, and also builder will get his money back. But this has to be convinced, this has to be understood, this has to be agreed at the time of joint development agreement itself, sir.
Okay. That means landowner separate గా ఫస్ట్ డిపాజిట్ చేసుకున్న తర్వాత అందులో సేమ్ అమౌంట్ హ్యాస్ టు గో టు ది RERA account. From that again you have to withdraw
It, sir, based on the percentage of completion.
percentage of completion. That
Exactly, sir. Yes,
so
sir.
that
Yes, sir.
means they have to calculate, typically practically they have to calculate the what is the percentage of completion as to which can be withdrawn, and that
Yes, sir.
proportionate amount has to go to the account and has to collect it back.
Exactly, sir. Sir, ఏమవుతుందంటే 30% ఆల్రెడీ ఉంటుంది, 30% is free. What is your eligible?
correct.
What is additionally 70?
Correct.
ఆ 70లో మీరు పర్సెంటేజ్ మీదే విత్డ్రా చేయాలి, సార్.
Okay.
Rajashekar garu, Sai Rajashekar garu, how much cushion we can take while certifying like 5% or 10% variation in construction? There is no benchmark, sir. See, what we are giving is the estimated cost. And also as a chartered accountant, I am certifying based on the books of accounts. I am not certifying the estimated cost. What I am certifying is what is the eligibility to withdraw based on the books of accounts maintained, and that is the money which is incurred for the project. కాబట్టి వేరియేషన్ అనేది 5-10% ఉండదు, సార్. ఇట్స్ యాక్చువల్లీ ఆల్వేస్ ఇట్స్ ఆన్ డాట్. బుక్స్ లో ఏం చెప్తుందో అది చెప్పాలి, సార్. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ ద పైలట్ సేస్ 5 or 10% వేరియేషన్ ఓకేనా ఫ్లైట్ లో కూర్చున్నప్పుడు అంటే ఏమవుతుంది అంటే, విల్ యూ అగ్రీ ద సేమ్ వే CA certificates are given such much power under RERA. This industry never respect a professional. I can tell you honestly, I'll tell you, this was a industry was never respected, not only a chartered accountant for that matter, okay, or not, never respected a professional. Now it's a highly high time for, especially for a chartered accountant, demand a respect to give a better service, better advice, and stick to what is the law is all about. Maharashtra Sunil Nayak anes unnaru, one of the senior chartered accountant. He always says this is a law which has given more power to a chartered accountant, or you can say only power given to a chartered accountant, wherein builder has to come to you and he should collect the certificate to take his money. Kabatti, be firm on that, be professional about your certificate. Don't under evaluate. Meer ledu ante don't even issue the certificate. Okay, it's unless we create that effect. నేను ఇవ్వకపోతే ఇంకొకటి ఇవ్వకపోతే ఇంకొక మెంబర్ ఇవ్వకపోతే సడన్లీ somebody has to give the certificate. So it cannot be go without certificate. కాబట్టి we have to create that ripple effect. ఆ ripple effect create అయితేనే we will get a value for it, value for the act, value for the statute also, sir. That is what is the input I would like to say at the end of my session. In the interest of the time, I can keep talking, but you can send me any questions if you have anything related to the RERA. So I can post you in the chat box itself about my mail ID or my mail ID or the mobile number. So anybody can free to write, and you can send a WhatsApp or whatever maybe for the purpose of any clarification, sir. Okay. Anything else, sir? Prashant sir, madam Lera, chairman madam.
టెక్నికల్ ప్రాబ్లం మేడం, కనెక్ట్ అవ్వలేకపోతున్నారు సార్.
Okay. Fine, sir. Like that.
Thank you very much, sir. On behalf of the chairperson of Visakhapatnam branch, I thank you wholeheartedly. Thank you very much for your wonderful, excellent presentation today.
Thank you, sir.
And RERA which is a gray area, so members will be having so many queries, doubts, clarifications. So we got to be, in fact, only few queries, not much. So it shows that you have explained thoroughly the subject. You dealt with the subject thoroughly and cleared all the doubts in the minds of members. Thank you very much for attending for this session and addressing our members of Visakhapatnam branch. And now I request our Secretary Vasudhamurthy to propose vote of thanks.
Very good evening to all of you, sir. Chairperson CA G. Bharti Devi and Vice Chairman CA Murali Krishna Garu, and today's resource persons Vinay Thyagaraj Garu, MC members, past chairman, and my dear professional colleagues. A very good evening to all of you. Today we have fortunate to have with us CA Vinay Thyagaraj, resource person, and we are grateful and thankful to you, sir, for spared your valuable time, and really it is a wonderful subject, and you have thoroughly deliberated on each and every aspect of this RERA, and you also covered almost all the questions, and very patiently you have answered each and every question, and cleared all the doubts in our members' minds. And because as you said, and as said by our Murali Krishna Garu, you go on asking the questions because we are not gray area, that is, and that too, this is the first time that we are hearing thoroughly the RERA Act, and you have said that it is not a RERA Act, it is a business. Really, it is a business, and it is a lot of opportunities there, chartered accountants. Really wonderful, thorough presentation to you by you, sir. Really wonderful.
Thank you, sir.
And
Yes,
our
sir.
members are benefited by your presentation, and thoroughly benefited. And we, as you said by you, that we take the clarifications by writing to you by email or by WhatsApp, sir. So on behalf of the Visakhapatnam branch and on behalf of myself, express my wholehearted thanks from bottom of my heart, and also express my thanks to our MC members and our chairman and all the participants and vice chairman, and also thanks to one and all for giving me the opportunity. Thanks to all of you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Prashant, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. But we miss your physical presence here.
So, Kachitanga, sir, Vizag was a very favorite destination. So, I used to
Please,
love
sir.
my visit to Visakhapatnam, and
You
I
are
was a
most
very
welcome, sir.
frequent
Most welcome, sir.